Ta-da! We are live on a Sunday. And I am joined today by, now I don't even remember the Twitter. I know it's Mechanical Frog, but isn't it shorter on Twitter?
Yeah, MacFrog12.
MacFrog12. And we're going to try out a little like split screen hobby action. What are you going to work on?
I've got these Death Rattle skeletons from Age of Sigmar. Working on doing some blending with contrast paints over the orange. So I'll have kind of a cool orange transition to red.
I like that orange. So I've been plotting the back of my head what some of the color, like when I finally bust out my miniatures, what kind of color I want to use. And I think I'm going to do not an orange like that, but close, like a more yellow. So I'm going to do the yellow, like yellow with a little bit of orange. So it's not like a pure yellow. And I think I'm going to do that just because I think I want something bright. I'm like, I want the units to like pop or whatever. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with equivalent of that, but a little more yellow. Because I like how it's the rags and the cloth, but you can still see it good,
Yeah, the orange and yellow can be a little tricky with doing base coats and all that, but they sure does look good once you get it up and going.
Good deal. Oh wait, I gotta set up screens. And I think I'm gonna work on Forge of Mars that is like 100th Titan. And I started on the show and I'm like, dude, it was a half-ass because I was like talking and doing all that. I'm like, start another one, and I want to try to do a couple things on it and get it going because I want to make a cool one of it. It's a nice photo. I'm like, yeah, if someone finishes 100 Titans, they deserve something.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot of effort.
I didn't know. I was talking to him on the show. I'm like, he got it all done in like whatever it was, 3 years time, or I don't even know if it was 3 years. I'm like, that's a lot, dude. Kudos. As it's like year 30 and I'm whatever, still like didn't even put one together. But it's going to be a good, when I finally put one together, it's going to be on a Sunday stream.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
I think I'll do it as I put it together. Like I'll open it and put one together, and then I'll prime it a different day and then come back and paint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's probably the best.
Like the first time in forever. So I think that'd make a fun stream.
Yeah, definitely have it primed and ready.
Yeah. And I have an airbrush and a compressor and all that, but I'm like, I bought spray primer too. And so back in the day, I'd use like a spray primer, but it was so gritty. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, are these, if like this, is the spray primer going to come out really like thick and gritty, or is it going to be kind of smooth? I know it can't be as smooth as an airbrush. And then I'm like, is that going to annoy me right off the get? And so I'm literally going to bust out a hole in the airbrush and all the stuff just to base coat them. So I'm like, And
yeah, I was really intimidated by the airbrush for a long time until I finally just, all right, I'm going to learn it. And so I ordered it and came, and now I would never go back to using spray cans.
See, I don't have anything convenient kind of set up for wear. So I literally have an it's been in the box for like a year now. So I have this like industrial size silent running air compressor for it.
Oh, nice.
Or I shouldn't say silent running, but it's like a low decibel one. But you can literally like run power tools and shit off it. It's like, so I got a little overkill, but I was like, I'll use it for some other stuff. And then, I don't know. It's like, I have it in my ideal room. Like I have it in this room, but I have like my computer, the printer, I'm like monitors. I'm like, the last thing I need is like floating paint particles sticking to like sensitive stuff, And so part of me is like, well, do I make a little like spray booth thing? And like, there's this closet in here, but I don't really use it for as a closet. I'm like, do I have like seal in some little booth in the closet type deal, or do I just like, put it in a different room or outside or whatever and do it there? So that too, I don't know with the airbrush. I'm like, it's not like I'm going to do a ton of airbrushing, so I might be like totally overthinking it.
But yeah, I got a decent booth. They don't run too expensive, and they come with a pretty like industrial fan that you would normally find in a PC
case.
And it just sucks most of the spray in there.
See, I think that might be fine for something. If I put it, because it's only like the printer is all sealed up and like some of that like screens on the monitors, I think, but I'm not gonna like paint heavy. You know what I mean? I'm not painting the whole. I mean, unless I got like big Titans, but that day will never come. Maybe some forgeable, and that's the thing with Titans. I'm like, well, I would airbrush those, just to like slap paint on. I see Lee. I'll tune into him Saturday sometimes, and then I'm seeing all these little pieces, and I just get like, oh no. Like it's like discouraging because like I don't get it, clip all that and glue all that. Like it's like a job.
Yeah. Yeah, those big projects just scary at the moment. But then when you're done and it's sitting on your shelf, you're like, wow, I cannot believe I actually got up the motivation to do all of that.
My studio was like half trashed with like boxes and everything. So the other day I was finally like, okay, start, clean everything up and organize all that. And so I like did all that. And I have some shelving stuff I still didn't put up. So I have the table up and I got like a monitor mount, so I can like have the monitor like pivot back and stuff. And I was like, all right, get that all straightened up so you can have a little like hobby, area to kind of be able to film and stuff. So like I want to be able to like hobby some, I guess.
Yeah, you've seen pictures of what I have downstairs.
I like your you got it all. You set yours up fast, and that's like, oh man, I see someone do like that. You're like one day you're like, oh this, and then the next it says all the shelves up, it's all built in the corner. And I'm like 6 months in with my spot. Like great way to.
I tend not to do things like halfway.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I got to get this thing set up and going and streaming. So get it going. I don't want to wait till 2/3 of the way through the summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got to watch with that stuff. I don't think anyone's chatting, but that's okay. It's just, I want to make sure.
Annex. Got the spray booth up. My wife was quite impressed.
Wait, if someone was chatting, I'm not getting any chat. I got to look at this.
Got Emery. I know Emery's my bud.
Okay, so I am missing something. Let me go here. That's odd. I don't want to view live in control room because. Oh wow. Okay, so I did miss that. Interesting. Now I see you. Thanks for stopping by, Axe. Good to see you again. I made a spray booth. My wife was quite impressed. Yeah, I might do like a little mini version one because I literally have an area in a closet, and I think it might kind of be perfect just to. I can run the little vent thing out if I need to, and then you know what I mean, just for non-huge projects.
And the one thing I didn't have down here is a window, so I have to run the vent into a box with 5 or 6 filters in it.
Yeah.
And so by the time it gets all the way through, then it should be okay.
No, gotta make do.
Yeah.
And see, I still don't know how to use Facebook, so I know it's so convoluted. I only start for the business, and with X, it was 5 parsecs, and I was checking the game out, and I'll get alerts because the business page is set up on Facebook, and I'll get alerts when people are like posting in there and stuff. And then when I like click on it, it'll take me to a certain post, but then if I leave, I can never like get back easy to that post. And so I never use it, and so I'm just like, I'm still half befuddled with Facebook. Instagram I got a little better, but I still don't use it right. But there's so much, like all the social media. I'll give, whatever influencers or whatever, because you do have to learn a lot of stuff. Well, it takes a lot to all the platforms these days and everything. What does X say? Having a place to condense the mess help along with some concentrated lighting. Yeah. Facebook navigation kind of sucks. Yeah, I only, like I said, I just started using it like the last year just so I could set up a page. And I know I don't fully use it like correctly. And so I was like, I'll start, but I do search around the content because there is some good stuff like that. Like, for even for Rated Hell, I'll go there and it's like, okay, it's all the nice concentrated information about just that game on some of the fan groups and that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And you started YouTubing what, not too long ago, right?
Yeah, just this summer, so just 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Right
Just
on.
kind of dipping toes in the water and seeing what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Why not? This day and age, it's a very marketable skill.
my cat is on my desk and now knocking over the lighting equipment. Because of course he is. How can I be the most annoying here?
That's the same. Like the dog always wants something during the live stream. He always either want to go out or wants food or whatever. X, what are you working on today? We have 8 viewers. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks for hitting that like button. That's appreciated too.
Mike, here, get the cat off the table. Get the cat. No. Knocking everything over.
Hobby time.
How that managed to not knock over the 2 cans of contrast paint is beyond me. That was like the luckiest fall on ever. Get everything fixed here. Wow.
I'm sure the cat likes those little plastic pieces too.
He'll pretty much eat anything.
Oh.
All right. What did you do before you started doing the paintovers?
I did I've always drawn and stuff, and then I did way back in the day. I had some artwork in like little games. I had some in riffs, and then I did a couple like trading cards for like the 40K back in, I don't even know what year that was, 2000 or something, 2003. I don't know, maybe later. I can't remember. And then I went into kind of doing the e-learning type stuff for different companies and the videos and all that. So I had a couple people and we'd have a studio and put out a lot of that training stuff. And so did a lot of just different art direction on those type of projects and things like that. So mostly corporate. So you're not doing, you're not drawing demons and stuff. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, you can't just slap that in some corporate training. Beware of scary demons. Like that won't exactly go over good. So it's, and then during the whole pandemic or whatever, I just did it, for fun. I was like, oh, okay, this is, kind of cool, and I'll paint some over. And I was getting back into drawing a lot more. I was like, well, maybe I'll, come out with like a comic or start working on some stuff like that. And then just kind of basically stumbled into the Paintover thing. And now here I am every day working on Paintovers.
All downhill from there.
Yeah, yeah, and it really makes you question. Like I've done a lot of it, in the last year and a half. And I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Like, is everyone going to be over this in like another week? And you know what I mean? Like, what are you trying to build with this? And so I just learned I don't question it too much and just go.
Yeah, I don't think there'll ever be a shortage of Warhammer players and other tabletop players who want to show off their stuff.
There's like people watching tons of videos, and there's all kinds of talk, and people buy them and commission the painting, and so I'm like, okay, that's why I've seen some of these things go on in the community, and it's like, okay, well they're successful and making it with their little thing. It's like it kind of gives you hope that you can have a shot at something.
Mm-hmm. I know one time you did a paint over for my son who did his very first tank. He pieced together his tank. You did a quick job on that, and he was just the proudest kid for the rest of the day. That's my tank that I made.
The battle scenes. It is fun because it reminds me of, oh gosh, what did we have back in the day? Like the the Sears catalogs that used to have the toy sets for like the, even when like Star Wars would come out, they got better at it around that time and a little after. So Sears would send out the catalog and would have the toy sets in it, and the kids would always have it set up in these awesome ways. You know what I mean? To
Mm-hmm.
make the ad photo be really good, and it kind of it goes back to that in a way where you see it and it's like, okay, what does it look like in the world, and then games like 40K came along and you had the miniatures and you had like get into the scenery and all that stuff. And then since I've always been into art, it's kind of like it's just that natural extension of, okay, well, what's around it, you know what I mean? What's it like when it's all smoky and hazy and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
it was
once
cool
again,
that you find, and I mean, it should have been obvious, but you don't really think about it. Like I just started doing, and people dug the idea. It's like, okay, they like to see their miniatures and kind of that world or whatever. So it was just, a lot of fun like that thing in
mm-hmm.
common, I guess.
Yeah, once I get the basement finished up here, I'll be able to get at the table and do like full scene stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to take photos of the armies kind of in mid battle and then
Mhm.
kind of put together a story behind them. I think that would be pretty cool.
Axe said, I was watching Dana Howell use the lid slide thing on the contrast bottle to drop a bit of paint on her palette. It was nerve
Ugh.
wracking.
Yeah,
Oh,
that would
yeah,
be.
I know. I still think I know what you're talking about. They have that little, like, curved lip type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime you're pouring paint out of one of these bottles, the Citadel bottles, it's an exercise in like, all right, how close am I to pouring this all over the place?
Yeah. I think I got some pipettes or dropper or whatever. I don't even know. I bought all kinds of stuff for painting and tools, and it's all still in the boxes. I'm
Oh,
like,
nice.
okay, buy this, and I bought, I forget what paint. It wasn't. I have some GW paints that I bought, but then I bought another like set from another popular kind of paint place, and so I bought one of those and brushes and all that good stuff.
Yeah, if I did that, I would end up buying stuff twice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it as I need it. I can't do the, oh, maybe I'll use this someday thing, because then I'll find it 6 months later in the back of the.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I already purchased this. Oh, okay.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is I put some shelving up because I wanted to put some of the, like the models and just books and whatever, kind of set a little thing up just to make the workspace seem more, I don't know, inviting just when I'm sitting here, I guess.
Getting a nice little chorus line going here.
How many, like, did you buy? Is that like a box set with some minis in it and then another set, or what did you buy to get like 20 of them?
It's just one box of 20.
Is it?
Yeah. So just kind of the grunt unit.
Oh, see, Axe
So,
says I'm a sucker for kits that come with paint and a mini, and so am I because I signed up for that. There was like the Warhammer 40K. It was like where they sent you out a thing every week, and they only did the first two in the States. But I
mm-hmm.
got those. One of them had, I don't think either of them had a paint, but some of them had dice, I think, and some another one had other stuff. But I saw some of those kits at the GW just the other day. I
Mm-hmm.
did end up buying the easy to assemble some Stormcast. It was like a box of three, and I'm like, oh, well, that would give me something I can like toss some paint on and not quote unquote care about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would buy those when I was running a club, after school club. So just let the kids
Yeah.
try painting for the first time. I'm like, here, ruin these.
I wish I could get my hands on one of those GW subscriptions. Yeah, they said 2022 it's supposed to come out again. So I got the first two and they're still in the package. And then I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. Maybe you should just keep it in the package. I'm like, oh, that is the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, why don't you just cut it open and paint the thing? And I'm like, well, if it's cool, why don't you wait till you're better at painting to paint it?
If
So
you
I just
wait,
started
it'll
thinking
just sit
about it
there
all.
forever.
over
If you wait, it'll just sit there forever.
That's very true.
You can't wait. It's got to get done. I was always kind of intimidated by the Games Workshop stuff, even as a kid. I didn't even start painting Games Workshop stuff until 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
But I'd see it in the store and it's like, oh, wow, I'd love to do that someday. And just finally ended up pulling the trigger and just going, you know what? I can talk about doing it or I can just do it.
It's very true. That's kind of cool. I can go with that. Oh, okay, X. That was you're in Canada. It seems like that's right. You were. It seems like Canada they only had a trial run in Quebec. Yeah. I know, and you get that's what's these online things. You get people from all over the world, which is so cool. You know, be like, oh, hey, you're talking from someone in like the UK and then Canada, and then whatever. You be in Mexico, all over the place.
We'll have to eventually get you painting, right? Once you make your Titans and piece them together.
I will. I'm going to do. I still have my. I want to do the Enforcers because I bought all the stuff and I legit used to always. Necromunda's kind of the whole thing that got me back to even contemplate anything. I was like, oh, it's back when it came out, and I was like, I like that one. That's a good enough reason to, I'm like, I think I got a friend or two I could get to play. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I'll buy some, and they had the. I wanted the what is it the arbiters they're not are they arbiters I forget what they were back in the old one and they came out with enforcers where I'm like oh the arbits I can't remember but
or something like that.
Yeah they had the shotguns back then and everything but they did the enforcers and the enforcers had a riot shield and I was like all right they got the shields I'm like I'll be in for enforcers so just when they came out is when I bought those.
I'm a sucker for anything that has a shield. I'm like, give Space Marines more shields, please.
The shields and banners. That's the way it always gets me. I'm like, oh, that's the one thing about the new Primaris and everything that is like, I'm like, where's all the banners?
Need some fluff and some flair.
Yeah, Emery made a good point. If you want to practice painting, then buy a bag of plastic skeletons or army men. You'll have to prime them, but you can learn a lot about blending of brush strokes that way. Yeah, it's almost disposable. I know, and because it is a big difference when you're like paying the big bucks for minis, and then you're like, okay,
That's what I ended up doing with my youngest son, he's 6, but he really likes to paint too. So I just bought the cheapest figures you could get off Amazon, and they end up being like 30 cents a piece. But like, here, ruin these and.
Yeah, because it's good for that's how they learn. You know what I mean? But like I don't want to spend no $50 on the minis for the kid to be like rip through.
Like here, destroy these brand new Space Marines that are $70 a box.
And I almost got the Age of Sigmar orcs, and I'm like, I don't even necessarily want to play Age of Sigmar or like probably not Warcry because I'm like, I play so little games now. I'm like, if I just want to pick one, you know what I mean? I'm like, just play like Necromunda, but I love those models. And I was like, they were like 95 or $100 or something for it, and I was like heeing and hawing, and I really liked them because it has like 3 boar riders, a couple of the big orcs, and it was just a good mix. And I was like, don't do it because there's now like 3 things I want to like do mini wise, so I'm trying to get everything organized so perhaps on some of the Sunday shows I can actually get some painting or hobbying in.
I don't know what I'm going to do with these guys. I just always wanted to paint skeletons, and then this new set came out. I'm like, wow, those are really cool. I'm going to give it a try. Like, I'm not going to start
an army. You don't have like AOS or Warcry or anything?
I have multiple AOS armies. I've never played the game.
Okay, I can dig it. Well, yeah, it's been hard with all the plague and everything. So, yeah.
I'll play 40K with my son, and in this new town, I'll probably go out and find a game shop that has 40K players. But
Yeah,
just the AOS models are just too nice to ignore.
they really are. There's some amazing stuff. So you gotta almost just play just to use them, you know. I never see. I guess I was before the time where you'd really even go to hobby shops to like play. I mean, they were, but it never like occurred to me to go do that. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know, stranger danger, man. New play with new people. What do you mean? You don't do that.
Introverts, right?
Like that doesn't even make sense. It's not why I play these games. But so that's interesting that you haven't played with those. I saw someone. I was up at a hobby shop once, and they were playing Warcry, and I like the skirmishy side of things because it's a little more depth usually with them. You know, the combat, I guess. You know, depending, and so
a little bit more of a narrative, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. And it pulls on the RPG heartstrings.
Yeah, walking into the game stores for the first time, especially like in a new place, that's always a test of your introvert skills. Okay, I'm going to not be intimidated by people. I'm not going to assume that they're experts on everything and they're going to think less of me because I'm not. It's funny, every once in a while you see somebody complain about, I don't feel comfortable going into a game store. I'm like, that's good. That's everybody. You shouldn't. I think that's just how things are.
Yeah.
It's like, this is horribly awkward. Like, yeah.
Welcome to the club. The GW was really cool. I was in there the other day. We had they have a decent whatever manager and stuff like that. So it was just, they were just chill. It was good because I didn't get to see. They had the tables out, and there's a lot of them I didn't see in person yet, like the models. So it was good to pick up and see the Primaris Marines right now. And the bike ones, I was like, wow, these are really good bikes. So I saw those, and Gamers Mal, who's on a Discord, he just shared some of his bikes. And I was like, yeah, I was just looking at them like, wow, in person, they're just like even cooler. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then
he did a really cool scene, really cool paint job on those too. Those like a sandy color.
Yeah, it's like a two-tone.
Those are great.
And,
I love that. I love that scheme. He did a good job on them.
Emery. They also have fake BattleTech mechs too called Steel Warriors. $30 for 30 of them. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the game that we got started with when I was very young, 12, 13. My brother came home with a D&D book, and my parents were not super big fans of that. Yeah. And so we compromised on big, giant, stompy robots. Okay. Ended up playing BattleTech instead. So we'd spend all of our money on those old metal Ralpartha models. Yep. Oh, those are great. Demonic stuff, not good. But world-ending lasers and plasma.
I still got. I think I was probably like 7 or something, right? I don't even know if it was. I think it was just turning the 80s. I don't even know. And it was my cousin who I saw the D&D books there, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I was just trying. And ever since then, that was like the first D&D thing. And that kind of is what hooked me. I just remember seeing that in the book, and I was like, wow. And so then after that was kind of the first thing I got into was, Dungeons and Dragons. And then it quickly led into, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we played BattleTech, and that got us into eventually Magic at the Gathering, because I think our parents kind of just gave up at that point.
Yeah.
Like, these kids are gonna be nerds. There's nothing we can do. Yeah. Played Magic, and then kind of shifted over to video games for a long time, and then came back to And I came back to tabletop board games, and then most of my friends now play lots of board games.
Gotcha. I've played them, but I never got big into board games. And I know there's some great, like, that kind of, the popularity of board games really grew in what, the last 10 years or
Yeah,
so?
it's all those Gen X people who were kids at the time, like couldn't afford all that
Yeah.
cool stuff in the 1980s. And so you get up to now we're established, you've got families,
Yeah.
their kids are getting old enough to play by themselves or go out with their friends. And now you're sitting
Yeah.
around going, okay, what do we do with our time?
I
And so
know,
like,
miniatures. Yeah.
let's get into Warhammer, or let's play games,
Yeah.
like start a D&D group,
It is
whatever.
funny, too, how it is kind of like generational like that because it's a bunch of people who are going through like similar phase in life a lot of times, so it's a bunch, and it's just interesting because you do see that, going on with a lot of people my age, our age, or whatever. It's like you kind of get back into it because it's a different, you're not raising it's not 24/7 right now. You might have more time, your family might be older, or anything going on.
Mm-hmm. I remember going into the game store when I was real little and seeing all the metal Warhammer stuff. Like, oh, that's so cool. I wish I could afford that. And, getting back into it, the kind of a strange story for how I got into it. Our neighbor across the street walked over with a box full of Warhammer stuff
Oh.
and said, "Here, I don't want my son playing this. Do you want it?" And I said, "All right, fine." So that was the 8th edition Warhammer and the rule book and a bunch of Dakari Dark Elf models, and that's what got me into it. So,
That's a
all
good
downhill from there. They're like, yeah, here, I'll take this thing that I've always wanted to do. Sure.
It's like a gift followed right in your lap. My daughter will
Price was
play
right.
miniatures games with me, so that's pretty cool. She sucks at losing, though.
Oh,
Yeah, that's one of the life lessons with a little winning and losing will teach you.
mm-hmm. Yeah, being a good sport is always a tough skill. Especially in Warhammer, where you're like eager to blame the dice. You only won because the dice roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the game. This was good motivation to actually get this done, because doing this would have probably taken me several days if left on my own devices.
They do work like that. The streams do give me like motivation. It's good. It's like, okay, talk about, they'll start working on something. At least like now I'm just being very casual working on this Paintover, but still it's good to spark ideas. You get some energy from it. I get to watch, what you're doing and everything. So I like these. You're gonna have to get some games of that in.
Yeah, I think so. I'll have to, once I finish the other army and get that Seraphim going, have dinosaurs versus skeletons.
You've
who wouldn't enjoy that?
Quite a bit through the last year, I think.
You got quite a bit of stuff done with that lockdown.
Yeah, you did a lot of Marines.
Mm-hmm. And my sons are just old enough now. Well, the oldest one's definitely in their range, but kind of able to play by themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I don't always have to be on the floor playing Legos.
And
that's fun, but you kind of want to do your own thing every once in a while.
You do anything a ton, and you need a break from it. Yep.
Just now getting to that age where I can go down for an hour or two and just paint.
Yeah, because especially that early where it's like 24/7. You get little breaks. You're like, oh gosh.
Plenty of those sleepless nights.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously you're not healthy if you never do go check on anything or whatever. Feel free.
Yeah, you have to have your own thing too, or else you'll just go insane.
Yeah. Blue plasma. It's blue plasma. I got called out on one of them because on this gun, it looks like there's four. You can't see it good on this picture, but the barrel is right in the middle. But see, there's four little like arms around it, and each one of those has a hole in it. And I had those firing ones. And so I got called out. I was like, all right, fair enough. I'm like, that's a good one because I needed to know that one.
How dare you?
Like, I will make it properly.
You're not the one who put a gun on a kneecap. Right?
But I love that one. I love these, like the death orb missile launcher on the knee. I think it's so cool. I was looking at, gosh, I don't know why I thought of it. Oh, I was in the, that was one of the things in the 5 parsecs room. They were like, what games do you use for the miniatures? And they, someone said Dust 1947. And it was one of the, I've seen it, I don't know if it was like 10 years ago, somewhere around there, I want to say. And I could be off on my years, but I think it's been around that long. And I love those. I love the look of that game. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know anyone who plays. I never see anyone talking about it. And I always really dig the miniatures. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
but I never see anyone, you know what I mean, anything about it. And that one was one where I looked at it today. I was like, oh man, there's a couple miniatures in there I really want to get.
It's funny running into people who buy games just for the miniatures. Like, oh, how's this game play? I don't know. I've never played it. Just bought it for the miniatures.
Yeah.
Like I've if you heard of Kingdom Death
Yeah.
Monster, I bought that mostly for the miniatures. We played it, I think 3 or 4 times,
Mm-hmm.
but just the first couple of kind of scenarios. But the models are just so cool that I couldn't resist it.
See, Axe likes them too. He says, yeah, those Dust minis and Conflict 47 are sweet minis. That's my other issue with this. Now I'm doing paintovers all the time. And so, like, it, I keep seeing stuff from different places, and I keep thinking, oh, well, I want that, and then it's like started doing work in Mantic, so I'm like looking through all their miniatures, like, oh, I didn't know you made that, and that looks really cool, and then I keep seeing these miniatures. I'm like, dude, you didn't even paint one. You didn't even get one done in 30 years. Like, what are you looking at all these? Like, what are you doing?
You don't have time to play that. You don't have time
Yeah,
to paint that.
you're interested in like 4 games, like thousands of miniatures, and like, what are you doing, bro?
So I was looking at that new Kill Team box. Like, I don't have time to play Kill Team. I don't have time to learn the rules for Kill
Yeah,
Team.
I'm like, you didn't even start my Necromunda thing, and I'm looking at that kill team. I'm like, well, that is pretty cool. And like, everyone will be playing it, and maybe I should just get the box. And then it's like, the conversations with my head.
I'm like, I want the box for the Deathcore of Krieg figures. Like, do I really want to pay $200 for 10
That
figures?
see, and that's the other the thing that'll really get me is then it gets into like, it, like I'll justify it when something feels like a good deal. You know, I'll be like, so that's how I like, oh, well, this comes out and it's like cheaper and I get this and I could have these miniatures. So then I think that justifies it. You know, if I get something that's
Mm-hmm.
like full price, like, nah, like they had those mail-in things for 40K, and it was like a little discount on the first couple, and they were relatively cheap. So I'm like, okay, deal. You know, I'm like, I'll take it. You offered me some sort of deal or whatever. At least I feel it's a deal, even if it's not. Axe says I spent about 2002 to 2013 window shopping miniatures. Yeah, and now it's 3D printing and everything. Holy cow! Like you could, I started looking through some of those right when I was doing working on like Rain and Hell stuff, and I started looking. Okay, like what's they going on? And you just see like it was like a deeper dive into these 3D like studios that put out the different miniatures. I was like, wow, there's just amazing stuff in there too. So much good stuff out these days.
Yeah, I'd love to get back into 3D printing, like, and try out one of the resin printers
I have
someday.
yeah, I don't have a resin one. I have the other one, and I really like it. I printed. That's one of the things I got because I was like, well, I'll print a bunch of like, Necromunda terrain. So I have like this whole thing of like Necromunda type shanty houses and all kinds of stuff printed that never see the light of day. And it's a big box full. Just because I 3D, and I should have it running almost like every day printing something right now. And I'm like, why am I not doing that? Because just today,
It feels wasteful, right?
well, I mean, maybe in a way, but then if I'm actually ever going to use it, I saw someone with like this awesome D&D dungeon setup. I was like, oh my god, I can print all those and assemble, one of those type things. I'm like, you're getting all high on pictures, dude. Chill out.
When things take that long to print, you almost feel bad that you're not constantly printing. Like, oh, I should be printing something right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you're like, okay, if it takes a day or whatever to print this, and and I got some good stuff. I was impressed. And my thought with some of that terrain was like, hey, I can use that for a whole bunch of stuff, and it was going to be real gritty anyway, so you can kind of smear stuff on it or whatever, and then like get more like buy the nice highlight pieces, if you want it really smooth and everything, and then kind of build it out that way. Emery says Dust is a successor to the AT-43 game Rackham put out. Oh, but the lead designer took off on his own when they took his design for the World War II game and turned it into sci-fi and space. Okay.
Emery is a wealth of knowledge.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us, Emery.
Right. When I taught intro to engineering class, we had a couple of old plastic 3D printers. And so before the end of the week on Fridays, be like, all right, give me your designs. I want stuff running all weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get it up and going. Yeah, there's some pretty awesome miniature Kickstarters out there where people they sell the designs and print them. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that to me, it's a brilliant way because, oh god, that's one thing I should have always got onto was 3D long ago, like modeling or whatever. But it's nice that some of the artists have that option. You know what I mean? You can totally hustle up and try to start your own thing and sculpt and get your own stuff going. And it just that is one of the good things that came out of this whole digital stuff.
Well, real low barrier and entry for somebody who's producing anything you're selling that's digital.
Yeah. The tools are there, but it's still a ton of work doing any of it.
Sure. Well, it's like anything.
Yeah, that's
putting the effort into it.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, there's no real shortcuts.
I had a boss early on in my work career who said, the difference between the good worker and the worker is the guy who's like, I want to get better at this.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you're doing, if you're unloading boxes, even if it's as simple as that, you're like, I'm going to do this better.
How are you going to do it
than
faster?
anybody else.
How are you going to do it? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at a lot of part, it's all life is like half a game of whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, I'm like, at this point, my life is kind of like almost just like an RPG, or just like I'm this person and I adventure through it, try to level up my skills.
Always fun when you're painting a figure and you find something that you didn't do
Oh yeah.
on that. So he's got a foot here that's white because I forgot to wash his foot. Which would...
Yeah, Emery said the resin printers are nasty. Keep them away from kids and pets and don't breathe too much. And they can be hard to
Yeah,
clean if the FEP breaks. Other than that, they are cool. Yeah.
like, this is great. Try not to kill yourself.
Also, they are getting much cheaper. Oh gosh, that reminds me. So, of course, me being me, what do I see? They're like, oh, printers. Did you ever see the printers that put like the ground? It's like a super fine plastic powder, and they put it in layers, and then they hit it with a laser. But because it's all powder, you don't need supports because the powder is perfectly, you know what I mean, like stacked. So you can start
Interesting.
up in the air. And of course, they're like, I don't know what they were, $20,000 or $30,000. But if you ever Google, I think it's like Adam Savage. What is it? It's like, I forget what kind of printer it is. It's not a. It might be an SPL, but there's one where Adam Savage, like someone makes a articulated Batman glove, and it comes out of the printer and it can all move and everything already. And it's just like those printers are like the insane ones to me because they'll use those for like the movie props and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you haven't seen one of those, like go on Google and check that out because it'll blow your mind.
It'll be amazing how things will change in that area here as people kind of realizing how useful it can be. And so, of course, you got
Oh
to
yeah,
make it bigger, better, faster.
and even that, I think, for a company, it's $30,000. Like, okay, yeah, that's a ton of money, but for a company, if you're investing in it and you have the people who can put the stuff out and you want to run all your prototypes really fast and make cutting edge stuff, because I look at what some of the machines can do and I kind of look at, okay, who's pushing it and who's, doing the miniatures and all that, and I'm like, I don't think I've seen anyone really building stuff with one of those bad boys yet. And I'm like, that's just a matter of time because someone will be like, all right, I'm buying one of those and using it. I'm all like, how can I get this empire going? Because I don't know, but I'm buying one of those. Like, I don't know what the point is, but I'll have one.
The guy who wants to 3D print his like entire Emperor's Children army that he's designed himself.
Oh, they made, you know what they made? They made chainmail with it. So it was literally thing chainmail, and that's how like fine you can get where the chainmail would actually move and like be chainmail. But it was all individual links, all like made like that through the powder. Is it SLS? I don't know. Like, I think it is. There might be another one. See, these came out in they were using? Is it nylon? This might have been nylon. Maybe it's not. But no, they came out all hard right out of the thing and everything. So they were making like bike pedals and whatever. I'll have to find the video again. But I just know I saw the one with Adam Savage, and I looked into the printer more, but of course forgot all the stuff. I was like, well, I don't have 30 grand right now.
That's a lot of paintovers, right?
Yeah, dude. That's what, in terms of paintovers, I only need to do if I don't eat and don't pay any bills and put all my paintover on. It's like,
Yes. Could be scary if you start measuring things like that.
yeah. That's the only good thing about being a little older. Like, all right, got enough life experience to like know when you already have some pre-planned stuff and all that kind of thing. So try to put a little knowledge to use.
Yeah, it's a neat opportunity though for those like kids coming out of high school with some AutoCAD experience.
Oh gosh, yes.
Just going right to work. Like you don't have to go to college. You know how to use SketchUp, or you got to use one of those other programs, you just go to work.
And if you're hardcore, like especially when people going to college, high school at this day and age, like you can be working on your own stuff and have your own little small business set up online right then. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like you don't even
Yep.
have to wait for any. Like you can be trying, and that's what the ones with kids around, and like my niece and nephew, has encouraged them. It's like get you know you got to be careful with the whole online thing, but if you can put your stuff out there and your work and showcase and like start young, you just get that experience of the interaction and showing your stuff and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can relatively easy now set up your products and
Yeah, I had robotics kids that were getting recruited right out of high school. And so like we could go to the UW, or I could just go to this company and make
yeah,
80,000 a year starting. Like, well, I think that's a pretty easy decision for me.
yeah. I still need to get quiet pen tips.
Just proof you're working.
Yeah, yeah. What what did you? I didn't see the full. What was the last game you reviewed on your YouTube channel?
Did Beyond the Sun? I think
Yes.
was the last one.
What was
That
that?
great. That game is great. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like it feels a little bit like more than one game, kind of wrapped into one. But you play as this faction of humanity that's trying to spread out across the stars more effectively than everybody else.
Okay.
And like some of those types of games where you're developing technology as the game goes and building up your economy, the tech tree can kind of feel like it is a separate thing, but
Yeah.
in Beyond the Sun, it's very much a part of the game where you
Okay.
could actually just go tech heavy and just win the game by being a technological civ, which is
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think is really cool. I love games where you can win in kind of atypical ways.
Yeah. It makes sense to me. That's the same. Civilization, you could do some of that in certain of the Civilization games. You could get away with different sort of wins, especially Fall from Heaven. I always tell everybody about Fall from Heaven. Like that thing was so incredible. I'm like, I don't even know how many years old it was, and like now I'm like, man, I should load it up and play that because it's still like the best thing ever. The things that had happened in that game, like you love Civilization, but I had these huge. I don't even know how big they were, but they'd be like this wandering. I don't know if it was a demon or whatever it was. I think I opened hell, like I summoned hell, but my civilization I got super powered early because it wasn't like a normal civ game. Like here, you could have these. Sometimes the land would like sprout out, a whole mountain would come up, and you might get gold and resources all in the middle, and like magic stuff would happen. But there was like this huge demon wandering around, and wherever you would walk, it would start creating lava tiles, and everything would be building up and like burning. And you could, the other thing you could do is like you could capture this one dragon, but it was like almost impossible. You'd have to have like this high level ranger character and all this stuff, and you had to have a ton of units with you because you had to wear down its defenses, and then you had to like do a spell, but then you could like have a dragon in your kingdom, and like just so many little quirky things. And it made the replayability just huge because there would be events and stuff that just you would never see in 100, 200, 300 times playing.
Mhm.
X, thank you very much for hanging out with us for a while. Really appreciate it. Heading off to the kids' party. Have fun. Eat some food. In a normal Civ game, you wait for Gandhi to go nuts and nuke everyone. Yeah.
Oh, I just love that he's the most aggressive with that.
we there was we played a lot of Civ on a PlayStation, and we would get these. So at my friend's house, we had Civilization on a PlayStation, and then we either had, I think at that time we were playing a lot of Worms, and we had a Dreamcast with Worms, or was it N64 or something at that time. And the turns were so long on the PlayStation, it would take 45 minutes for the PlayStation to process the turn. So we would move all our stuff, then hit and turn, and then we would switch the TV to like play Worms because we were like waiting 40 minutes. So you gotta like play something else. But it used to, I always want to know if it ever did this for someone else. There was a certain note in the music where the PlayStation would play and it would freeze on that note. You would just hear for like the longest time, and so that was until you like ended the turn, and then it would reset it and like go through. But yeah, we used to do like it'd be like a 40-minute turn time on your PlayStation, which was crazy.
I think I've shared that joke before with you in Discord, how Civilization kept me from doing well in
Yeah.
grade school, and Civ 2 kept me out of a good college, and Civ 3 and 4 kept me from graduating college with decent grades. Played a lot of Civ.
Yeah.
But I learned all the world leaders and all the cool history stuff in there, and ended up a history
I don't
teacher.
think I learned anything. The one thing, wait, what did we say? Oh, the one thing I learned was we learned no taxation without starvation.
Oh god.
So if you tax the people at this one game, they would get angry and they would revolt. But if you taxed them, and we had this huge city, right? But it was like basically way out of control. But it was generating so much, and we were like, we needed the money, so we had to tax them. We were playing with a friend, but if you did that, they would revolt. So what we realized is, if you taxed them and starved them, you could starve them enough so they would drop a population or two, and that would keep them from revolting because they were like downtrodden. So that's the only thing I learned in Civ, was like sometimes you have to tax them and starve them at the same time to stop the revolt.
Let's not learn any lessons from that from the real world, okay?
Yeah, so that's all. I learned a lot of bad stuff from video games.
So parents are all worried about the first-person shooters. They should have been worried about Civilization.
Yeah, like, no,
Because now we all vote.
Tax them and starve them. It works.
Created a bunch of brutalists and anarchists. Yeah.
It's like when they make a movie of a novel and then later make a novelization of the movie because they don't have the right. Oh, yeah, they don't have the rights to the novel. Yeah, I'm wondering. I never finished. Oh my god, I started the Wheel of Time. I think I don't know if it was like I didn't start on the first book. I think. I mean, I did, but I didn't find out about it till like the third book or something. And then I probably got up to like my numbers could be way off, like book 12 or something. So I have like 3 or 4 more to go, I think. I never finished like the Wheel of Time. I think one day I got it. But then it's been so long, I'm like, do I need to start over with the whole thing just to read it? But anywho, they have that series coming out on like Amazon or something.
Yeah, my wife was really into it. And when I told her, she's like, "Oh no."
See, that's always
Oh, no.
the actress. I think I was okay with the actress. I think I liked her and some other stuff. I can't. So that was like a good sign to me. But anytime, I think it was from that day and age where anytime you say it's going to be like based on a comic book or a game or this or that, I'm always like, oh boy, what do we got? Like. And I'm pretty forgiving with that stuff, but a lot of times I think they just really miss the mark. So I'm hoping it's something decent because that was one of the epics of all time.
Yeah, having to turn stuff into just condense so much stuff into.
That's what it is. You ruin the whole flow of like what you liked about the books. A lot of times is just the flow of the story.
We have something built up in your brain over 20, 30 years, and then someone else's interpretation of that just doesn't fit with yours, and that can be frustrating. maybe it's amazing. I don't know. Did you see that thing about Henry Cavill
Oh
talking about
yeah,
the Black Fortress? No, like, it's like, please make a series for Warhammer with him starring. Like,
at least you'd have someone who gets it. You know, he's obviously a fan and whatever. So that's the way. Like some of those the animations coming out were really good. So like Astartes, like I thought that was really cool, but it's one of those where I was like resigned early. I'm like, oh, because of how the world is and everything, I'm like, you're never gonna see like some 40K movie that I would be like, okay, this is what I'd want. You know, because I guess in my mind it's so grandiose, you know what I mean? Like the full, like what I visualize and stuff of like the 40K, you know, the hardcore space marine battles, like the wars, dude, with the huge thing and Titans walking and like the paintings that are just jam packed with characters and units and action. You know, I'm like, that's what I would want to see. I'm like, that'll never happen in my lifetime.
well, I was worried that things wouldn't be as dark as really they should be.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation the other night. We had some friends over and just happened to be into Warhammer 2, and they're saying, you know, this is a world that no one wants to live in, and it's a very unique thing for an IP where the fans of the IP don't want to go live in it.
Yeah.
Like the Harry Potter fan, they all want to go to school at Hogwarts. Like, do you want to go to Terra in Warhammer? No. Hard pass.
For sure. Well, and that's for me, it's changed big time because I think the peak of it for me when I really, I mean, it lasted all through second edition. I didn't get into third at all at that time, but when it was peak to me was like the realm of chaos and like the Slave to Darkness books back in the day, the hardcover ones with all the chaos stuff. And that was just like so like what baroque and dark, and you know it was very much not Dungeons and Dragons, you know, and so that art was always what influenced it, but that art was probably like the darkest you will get out of 40K, you know what I mean? To me it's like they've changed it, and I get it, they're going with the times, but I'm like, okay, that to me was always like what I wanted, you know. I'm like, okay, yeah, go that way and do that in your shows because no one's going to do that. You know what I mean? I'm like, no one's going hardcore that way. And just the aesthetic, you know, and like a few did, but not on like a big war scale and everything. And I mean, because it's, I think the aesthetic or the people who like it, that's a small segment, you know. They kind of
I understand why Games Workshop's kind of doing what they do. They're going for where the market is pulling
the
them.
audience.
Yeah. Like how many people really want to see an animation where the ship's Gellerfield goes down and everyone turns into demons and it's just blood and gore and nightmare.
Yeah.
Like there is the fans of that who do want to see that, but then there's
I mean,
limited.
I don't really like. I'm not the biggest fan of like. You can do. I like the blood and the gore to almost like be indicated. I'm fine with a lot of it, like shooting and stuff. But you don't want to cross that line where you're just doing it to be gratuitous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like
it's like
as
the
much
Saw
as I
problem.
love it, the artwork, I just kind of think there is a good way to do it and not just be like a slasher film or something. You know?
Yeah. It's that shift from like horror movies to just being gore instead of like atmosphere and all that.
Because I would want it more like Saving Private Ryan than gore, but it could be a demonic Saving Private Ryan.
Like reimagining Saving Private Ryan, but we're on Armageddon and fighting orcs.
Yeah.
and no one's life matters.
I mean, orcs would be a good one. I mean, that would probably be the first one for the thing because orcs just kind of like it, so you could almost do a little levity with them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like chaos, where it would totally be super dark. You know?
Once we get the fire effect on these guys, they'll be pretty much done. I have to do their weapons and some little detail stuff on the shields, but hopefully get done with these guys. The Dominion box should be showing up here tomorrow, so I can get started on that. Do some Stormcast.
Yeah, that's right. You got that coming in.
For someone who doesn't play AOS.
Yeah. Yeah, you just bought the Dominion box. You don't even play AOS. That's hilarious. That comes with the rules, though, right?
Yep, so I'll be able to give it a try here. I'll make my son play. That's why you have children, right? So you can force them to play games with you.
Yeah. See,
or not the other way around.
You will play this. You will play this game with demons in it.
It's just like that father who really pressures his kid to play football because he wanted to play football in high school. Except
no,
now it's
Dad.
just Warhammer.
No, Dad, I'm not going to play Warhammer. Emery says Slaves of Darkness and Lost in the Dam had a hell of a lot of typos, but it was fun to roll on the tables after a battle to find out how to mutilate. Yes. That was that was like my favorite, the war bands thing and everything you could do with the different war bands. Like that's why I love that thing. All the naming them, the artwork, the side, like the frames around the pages. I just loved in that thing. I don't know what happened to my books over time. And I was like, oh, I looked last year, I think. I was like, well, let me look online. I think one of them they wanted like $200 for. Like, I'm like, fine. Well, like, oh my gosh. I'm like, dang. I know they have like a second print, but then part of me is like, dude, I want the original one, but I might settle for a second print or whatever. 10th print by now, probably. It's like, how many Paintovers do you need to do?
All of them.
All of them, yes. Every single one of them. How many miniatures are there?
I need every Warhammer player to buy one.
Yeah, it's mandatory.
Team effort here.
Yeah, takes a village, people. What's funny to me is like, I can see if I was doing this when I'm younger. Like I'm doing this as I'm old. Like this is a hell of a stunt to pull in your whatever fourth decade.
So, to me, to do one thing your whole life might be kind of limiting, because what if your calling was something else and you just work your whole life? It's like that guy who works at the post office for 40 years and then retires. What if he was really good at something else and never had the opportunity to try it?
Well, and that's like with this, that's why I was kind of like, no regrets. I'm like, I really enjoy this and it sits right with me. I'm like, dude, I've been waking up excited for like a year, about this stuff and like working at it, and it's showing progress of growth and stuff. So I'm like, okay, this is more what I wanted than anything else. You know what I mean? I'm like, and you get a little bit of an audience and like people who like your work or whatever. It's like, oh, okay. It like gives you a chance to kind of think about, I'm excited to start doing a little bit of merch later, and not that I even think I'll make, any like a lot of money off of it, but I think I can find a niche in the group that will like it. You know what I mean? And that kind of excites me. It's like, okay, yeah, well, make something, and then it's not just me who likes it. There's some other people who dig it and stuff. So that's kind of, I like that whole thing. And the technology and the ease of use finally caught up enough where it's like, print on demand, where you're not buying a ton of product and sitting on it and trying to release it and all that type of stuff. So there's like a lot of different avenues these days.
Mhm. And part of the reason why I became a patron was, seeing somebody try something new, and I want to support that. Like, who knows? You could make a go of it and make it work, and then that's awesome. So.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that, for sure. Because that's the things, like some of these, even this thing. Wow, I think its price is going up. I think in a few months, but like to live stream like this, I think it's like $40 a month. You know what I mean? And so that's what I use that for. Because I'm like, okay, when the people help support like that, it gives me a chance to, okay, I can buy this program and at least I know it's kind of covered, or half covered. And then so what I'll do is it covers a few things, and then I wait. And then, like, if I have a little extra, say something is like $40 and I got like 20 more coming through Patreon, I think, all right, well, maybe I'll sign up for this and we can split it, and then hopefully I'll get more people. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I enjoy that. And then plus it's like I try to put it to good use, like that, all that money I try to like pour right back into, you know what I mean, whatever I'm doing with
Mhm.
this little empire. It's fun. It's a bunch of people, like I enjoy the Discord. I enjoy this stuff. Watch
Mhm.
someone painting minis on here, and I should have had some more graphics ready. I gotta get, because I can do the pop-ups. I never use them. I don't even have anything good loaded up. I have to delete a lot. Here, we'll do one for your paint job. They like it. They really, really like it.
I haven't got a round of applause. I haven't gotten a round of applause
No,
for a
see,
while,
I
so
should
that's
have been
good.
doing this right. Anytime, it should have been like one of those sitcoms where you crack a half-assed joke and you still get it. Yeah, thank you. Oh, I love this one though.
Good,
Yeah.
good war horn.
Yeah, that thing is awesome. And I learned I can put it on twice, so you can go, and then you can have a couple of them going.
I think it was in the what was that? I think it was Mortis, the latest um, Horus Heresy book that
Mm-hmm.
has the big titans in it. There's a scene
Oh
where
yeah,
the big guy they blast their horn and it just kills people from the sound. It's just so
yeah,
loud it busts their brains open.
perfect.
Working my way through those as I'm driving across the state, 4.5 hours each direction.
Oh yeah.
So you get through a book
I don't.
every trip,
Yeah.
but it did help.
If it's not crazy traffic, I kind of like driving. If I have to do, I grew up going for long drives and all that kind of stuff, so it was like, and now I'm usually pretty good with it. But when you're obviously doing it for something and you have to, and it's not like whatever, then that's a little bit of a different story. But still,
Mm.
did you do
I
any
just like the
video
pose for
games?
this guy.
Oh wait, what did you say? Oh yeah,
The
that is a
pose,
cool one.
the pose for this guy is hilarious because I couldn't get the legs right and then they broke. So I'm like, okay, now he's running.
But it looks good running.
He's got somewhere to be. It's good.
Conversion.
Yeah, I'm not sure it counts as a kit bash if you break the model and then are trying to fix it.
It counts in Artist Empire. I kit bashed it with the same kit.
Let's It's supposed to look that way, right? Yeah. It looks that way now. It was fun seeing what everyone wanted, trying to pick actors for a Warhammer Netflix show. Like, oh, I want this actor for this. And
Oh yeah. What for? What show?
they were talking about a hypothetical Warhammer Netflix series
Oh
with
yeah.
Henry Cavill. Do it like a Horus Heresy would be crazy difficult to do, but
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see what happened. Hard to imagine anyone actually playing some of those roles.
For me, for sure, because they're too. It's like they're so grandiose. You know what I mean, dude? That it's like the build up for those characters is so like monumental, I guess, in the sense of scale and everything. That like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem like a role that actors can play. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna like? Yeah, I don't even know who they could.
Have to do like Lord of the Rings, where they film one group and then paste in the other at a different scale. And
Yeah, for real. Because it's like, how do you even pull off like this? I mean, the scale creep was incredible with what they pulled off between like the Primarchs and all that. It just keeps like seems like they grew in size because they didn't start out gargantuan.
mm-hmm.
See, I got to record that sound. The
the
paintbrush washing on
paint
the
jar.
water. That's a good one to have.
Maybe the sound that someone makes when they pick up their paint jar to drink
Yep.
instead of the drink next to it.
At least it's not the old testers.
Those models kits are nightmares. And someone on Discord was picking up those tanks.
Yeah.
As much flack as gamer modeling can be, those kits can be exercises in frustration.
Yeah, they said the one was like all the track pieces were like separate on one of them. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I got a couple of sets for my boys. They were supposed to be like for between 8 and 10 years old, and I ended up having to do both of them just to get them done, and it was brutal. I'm like, I'm never ever buying these for you ever again. This is it. Enjoy it. There are a few of those YouTubers out there that do those models, and then their paint jobs for them are incredible.
Yeah.
Where they go into just super intricate detail, like, oh, I'm using this historical picture as reference,
Yeah.
and there's a shell hole here, so I need to recreate that shell hole. I'm like, okay, wow.
I'm like,
I'm just
I'm
gonna
trying to get paint on this, and it looks like it's green, and that's good.
I'm just gonna paint the Space Marine and call it good. It's supposed to have this big blotch on it, and that's just what he likes.
Yeah,
and I'm too lazy to fix it.
That's what I dig about this hobby, though, is everyone can go whatever crazy direction they want. You know what I mean? It's like I can go as crazy as I want with digital stuff. So you can go as crazy as you want with paint. You can go as crazy as you want as like, I'm going to make this vehicle like historically accurate to this exact photo.
Not going up there, cat.
He wants to play with the miniatures, or she wants to.
He wants nothing to do with me until I'm on a stream, and then it's playtime. Sure.
Then he knows he doesn't have your focus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when your next
Two
live
guys
stream
left.
is?
I don't really have a schedule at this point. I'm going to do a few more of those kind of like fast forward videos. I think
Okay.
those are a little bit more fun to watch.
Yep.
At least the people I've talked to are like, oh yeah, I'll watch those. I'm not really interested in watching 40 minutes of you slowly painting.
Yep. Yep.
So, kind of listening to my audience a little bit.
Yeah, and you gotta try. That's like with all this stuff. I'm just like, you just gotta try and see.
I was kind of exploring, seeing what people are actually interested in, and I'm gonna do kind of the history video stuff, which is important to me because I feel like I have a wealth of information there
Yeah.
that I want to keep sharing, since I'm not doing the teaching thing anymore. So, and I think the interest in that will ramp up as we get closer to September, and all the teachers are freaking out about what they're gonna do on the first. They're like trying to get their units ready, and
Well, and that's
well, I need to go find this 5-minute video on Mesopotamia that I can ask kids to watch, and so my stuff can be there for that.
and yeah, that and even just history, like in general, that there's like it's like a bigger niche, like, and there's more things to explore in it. I guess you know what I mean. So I can see something like that having some good some good traction.
Yeah, I figure I have content that will last me a very long time. So I have
Yes,
all of
one
these
thing you can
lessons,
say is
things
history
I've
is
done in
full of
class over
content.
the years. That's good because nobody ever learns any of it, so it's
Yeah,
always
no,
new.
it's all new because no one knows anything. So that's perfect. That's
What was that
perfect.
Mark Twain? Mark Twain, who said the history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that's what I always say. It's like history doesn't repeat or whatever. And I mean, I get what they're saying. It's because it's not even what they're. It's like whatever humanity's intentions and desires doesn't change.
No, we're still
Yeah,
very
it's like
primitive in that
that's
respect.
why it's like it's not like the same set of circumstances, but you're kind of you're willing about the same things because your intentions and motivations and all that are what doesn't change.
Still motivated by the same things we were motivated
Yeah, that's
when
it.
we were running around
Exactly.
in the savannah. Yep. Always loved history, loved those stories. Kind of not necessarily the big stuff like this king makes this decision on this date. Much more interested
Yeah.
in the small stuff like what individual decisions people made to change the outcome of history,
Yeah.
even when they're not intending to. That was always the more interesting stuff to
I
me.
could totally see that. And I got bigger into little like local history things that would just be like, just little things in the area where you learn like the history of like specific things and how it came about in that area and everything. I dug
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. I know, puppy. Give me 1 minute. I'll be back. And then we'll maybe in like 10, 15 minutes, we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
I'm going to go feed the dog real quick.
Sounds like a plan.
I'll be right back. 2,
Local stuff can be fascinating. You kind of discover the world in which you live, especially for United States that comparatively has a shorter history, at least insofar as the country's history. Of being able to find out, oh, this interesting thing happened just 10, 15 miles away, and you can actually go and check it out, and people don't even know that it's there. Did you know that 2 blocks away from that Safeway was a massacre of this, that, or the other. Oh, okay, that's horrifying.
And I'm back. We're gonna have to try. I'm gonna have to try some things with some people in here, because I can have like 8 people in here or whatever, and not that I want a lot, but I was wondering if, say, someone has 2 cameras, like some people will do their face and what they're working on, right? And I want to see with this app if I can send 2 different invites to the same person to have them bring both their devices on. You know what I mean? So like it would
Maybe.
It'd be like 3 screens. I would have my one screen, and then one person could have 2 screens. So I kind of want to try that out at some point. Not that it's even that useful, but I just want to see if it can be done.
I suppose it would be possible if you had, you could open up like private tabs in the browsers.
Yeah.
And if you had multiple sessions.
Well, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, and you're like a couple hours time difference still. I forget you're on the other side.
Yep. It's lunchtime here.
It's so wild, like with the hobbyist crew, because obviously people are from all over. So you're like UK time, East Coast time, West Coast time. If I spoke Japanese or whatever, like I see all the cool ones were there. Like a lot of them would be like Japanese. I'm like, it's too, like at least they have Google Translate now, so you can catch some of the gist. Because there's some awesome miniatures coming out of there.
Oh, absolutely. And some of those accounts are like super faithful followers and like retweet stuff. And
yeah.
I have no idea what you're saying. I occasionally will translate something and sometimes the message will work. But yeah, they do make some pretty awesome stuff over there. Different styles.
Yeah, that's what it is too. It's like that's why I like. They'll just be a slightly different approach on some of them, and they'll have like a different thing that they're bringing to it, and just different models and everything. It's amazing how big the hobby community grew. A lot of nerds out there. It's not. That's the thing now. It's not even nerdy to like this stuff. Now it's like the opposite of nerdy.
Yeah, I think that goes with like
cool.
that.
I don't think you can be cool anymore if you don't like this stuff.
When it goes with the kind of rise in popularity of board games and stuff, where it's just kind of expected that you be at least marginally interested in it.
Yeah. You worked straight through like an hour and a half on those bad boys.
Yeah, I got all the cloth done. That was the thing that I was least wanting to do. So I'm like, I'll just hammer it out and get it done. And now it's just piddly little stuff like the weapons. So credit to you for that, getting that done. Good motivator.
We'll have to do it when you get the Mantic Elemental, like in whatever, a couple weeks or whatever. We'll have to do another stream. I want to see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's pretty big.
Really looking forward to it. I've got. I sent you that picture of the trolls with, and I'm going to do the similar sort of thing with that. The trolls have kind of this. It's shiny. I'm not sure it comes through on the picture, but it's kind of not shiny obsidian volcanic glass.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I want to do that. and that thing is going to look not all shiny and awesome. We'll make it look cool. I'm still going to do the Stormcast in metallic green, even though somebody else already stole my thunder on that. That's kind of the most frustrating thing about getting stuff so much later than it seems like everyone's getting theirs. Like all the cool stuff's been done. Like, oh great. Well, now I'm just the guy who copied the metallic green from another person.
Well, there's like the late thing. I'm like, the one time I'm in White Dwarf is the one time it's like delayed for a couple of weeks here. So it's like they're already. It just got to the. It just came out in the States like this week, right? And then they're already promoting 466. You know, it's like, oh, dude, I didn't even get like I really just got it yesterday. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude. Everyone already shared pictures, so like me posting a picture of it is like, okay, well, so what? We already seen your pictures 100 times.
When are you gonna do something new? Come on.
Yeah, like, dude, you've been showing this forever.
As maybe that a small frustration in doing the painting and kind of sharing stuff on Twitter. Like, here's this thing I spent 150 hours on, and poof, that's it. Like, nobody wants to see it after that. Like, work on something new. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, bless everyone's short attention span or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's a good, there's some sort of life lesson in there too.
That's why I do that kind of model of the day thing where I go dig through my folders and just pick something that I did a long time ago. Like, because some of this stuff was cool and I'm kind of proud of it. And
it
kind of sucks
I have no problem resharing stuff, and because there's a lot of people who never saw it before, you know what I mean? And they'll see it again and like, whatever. And that's the only other reason too. Like, I've been working on the Mantic stuff, so, and then a few commissions and that, and I don't, part of the thing with like some of the free ones is it'll give me content to work on the live show with this, and I'm like, oh, I can't be working on stuff that, with like Mantic stuff, be like, oh hey, so I'm like, okay, close it all off, and then, but I don't feel right now. Like, I've done all the stuff. I've got up to a certain point, and I'm waiting to hear back on a few things from them. But like, I'm the type who, if someone's paying me to work on something, I like to just, that's like my priority. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, work on that, and you do it on the live stream. And this one, I wanted to work on Lee's for this. Get that. I want to try a couple cool things, and I started digging into some more tutorials online with basically like photoshopping and stuff, because I was like, all right, I want to see how some of the other people are, approaching different layers and different effects. So I've kind of been watching some of those at night and trying to like pick up things, which obviously you do when it's like you watch anyone really good online do stuff, pick something up.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to try new things and get better and try to do something you didn't do last time to make things a little bit wilder. That's absolutely why, like, none of my Space Marines like look the same.
Yeah. Oh, that's
like I have a massive army of salamanders that I made for my son. That's technically his army, but every group I make is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see progression over time. Like, oh yeah, clearly these ones were done 3 years ago when I didn't know about dry brushing. Or this doesn't have any shading at all to it, and I would really benefit from it, but I'm not touching it again because I'm just got 15 other projects.
Models now where you just kind of go and move on,
There may be a point kind of down the road where I look at some of that stuff and try to fix things, but There's always the new shiny thing that needs to be painted first, though. I still have a unit of Scutari AdMech that's half done, and I just put it in a box. I said I'll come back to it in a couple of weeks, and I think it's been probably a year and a half, and I haven't touched them. And I have a whole new box. I have the Combat Patrol for
Do you
Adeptus Mechanicus
seriously?
that has.
Oh god!
So it's like a whole new set of Scutari that I'm not going to paint. So when you have 7,000 points,
because I know that's what I would end up doing, you know. And I got a couple boxes and stuff, but nothing crazy. I'm like, okay, that's good, man. You've got like, you know, whatever 30, 40 minis not painted. Like, you don't need any more than that.
You know, when you have 7,000 points of AdMech, and you don't really need that one more group of Scutari, your motivation is just not there.
What are you using?
So apparently Scutari are awesome. It's Rune Lord Brass. It's the new paint that came out with the Necron range refresh.
Okay.
And I love it so much that I'm just using it on everything now.
What is it again? Let's say the name.
It's Rune Lord Brass.
Okay, Rune Lord Brass. Oh, there we go.
Here. See if I can pixely at the moment. But
okay, that is a cool color.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. And then when you drop a shade on top of it, like Agrax Earth Shade, you get into all the nooks and crannies and darkens it up even more.
It makes it like awesome. Richer or whatever. Yeah.
Gives it kind of like an antique look. And
okay.
That's good when you're doing skeletons and you need to make them look like they've been out in the sun for a while. So nobody likes a fresh skeleton. Right?
No.
They have to be aged like wine.
I'll really keep going on this. I'll make this cool eventually.
Shields were originally going to be red, but just changed course because it was too much red. I would rather the eye stick to the red on the clothing than go to the shield. So
no, I could see that. Yeah, because even when you had it red and I see it right there, that was like a big focal point kind of deal.
Yeah. I'd much rather the eye be on the skeleton than on the shields because it's just a shield.
Good call. Good call.
Little bit of art theory there in your live stream.
Yeah.
Benefit of a classical education.
Very worldly of you. Very, worldly is the wrong word, but.
I come from an artistic family. My mom's an artist and does bronze.
Oh, really?
Bronze sculpting. So she'll do the whole thing out of clay and then go get it cast in bronze. Done some pretty amazing stuff. Keeping the tradition going here on a slightly different format.
Yeah, it's always good in my if someone has the time to just do anything kind of artistic, you know what I mean? I think it's just good for people in general.
We have a desire to be creative. That's our brand.
Yeah. And I think with that, I think like anything with, just like color, texture, I don't know, it just helps you in weird little quirky ways, I think. And probably like just accentuates other little thing. It may make someone like dress better, or you know what I mean? Who knows what it is? But it's like you may make a better educated choice at a letterhead color because just weird little things that add up over time.
Well, it's important to kind of channel that desire to be creative in a positive way, because there's of course lots of people out there who channel that creativity in a negative way. and that's not
Yeah,
good for
good
anyone.
point.
I can sometimes get flack from friends or relatives, like, "Why are you spending so much money on those plastic toys?" I'm like, well, I could be out at the bar,
Yeah.
or I could be out getting season tickets to the sports team and watching that
Oh,
like every Sunday.
yeah, you
So
can go.
it's
You just go to
the
one of
time
those ballparks and have a few beers, or go to a bar and everything. You know what I mean? Like one. So I was telling my friend, like, man, you go buy a few drinks at a bar, and you're basically at some sort of box set.
yeah, and you get pretty much nothing from it.
Yeah, yeah, for real. So I'm like, oh, it's a lot worse things to be spending your money on.
It all evens out in the end.
Yeah, and I'm too old to care about any of that stuff. Like, do what you want to do, man.
You got to enjoy. You got to enjoy your life, right? Or else you're gonna miss it.
Yeah, like this stuff wraps up quick. Like,
If we've learned anything in the past year, it's that you really should appreciate the time that you have.
oh, absolutely. Like that to me right now is just such a huge thing because I'm like, it is. It's over before you know it. And if you like, if I spent all my time stressing out on things or whatever, I'm like, why would I want to spend my life like that? You know what I mean? I'm like, I gotta like, I want the positivity and the energy and like build something because, I mean, I'll be real. It's not like anything's happening to me, but just the time thing. You ain't got much time.
Mhm.
Check that out.
Yeah, I'll have to sit down and learn the AOS rules and figure out how different it is from Warhammer. Though
Yeah,
honestly, I haven't played a ninth edition game of Warhammer yet either. So
yeah, dude,
spin that one.
I'm so out of touch. It's going to be interesting. I'll end up being around some of those games at a point and checking a few things out because I just know it's vastly. Terminators don't save on 3+ on 2d6 anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's all
I
I.
was watching a live somebody doing a battle report, and like even my incomplete understanding of ninth edition, they were playing it right. I'm like, okay, well, this is clearly I'm not the only one who's having trouble with the
Mm-hmm.
new adjacency rule or whatever that's called.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch a couple more. I think I'll catch it on Blood Angels Commander when he does some live games, and I think he does them on Sundays or something. But I'm gonna try
Mhm.
to. No, that's his other show. But anywho, I'm gonna catch a couple of theirs because I was like, all right, that it does help me kind of see what's going on with the games when I watch those.
That's typically how I learn games these days, is just watching other people play them on YouTube, like even board games.
Yeah,
Just trying to get through a rule book, especially for like the really advanced 4D games, like
yeah.
Euro games. Just you can't wrap your brain around the text in the book. So watching other people play it's help.
See, and that's like it's so weird for me, and I don't know if it's something like you get older and my brain doesn't function the same, but when I was younger, and maybe it's just you had more time. The more convoluted and the more rules there were, and the more quirks, and the more I liked it. Like you couldn't. Anytime someone wanted to simplify something, it was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? I wanted the complex games, and I saw everything getting streamlined, and I always didn't like it because I'm like, I get it, you're streamlining
Mhm.
the game to make it appeal to a bigger audience, but you're getting away from the core things that I really liked. But
Mhm.
now if I had to sit down and go through a full on thing and learn all the rules, I'd be like, no way, forget it.
I really enjoy a nice complex game, so long as as long as of course people to play it with is always helpful.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I can't sit and read through a rule book anymore and understand it. I can read through it, but then I'll still need to go back and
Hmm. Play it and see
watch
how
it
it
played
carries
once.
out. Yeah. And the same thing, like video games like RPGs and all that. I used to like that stuff. Now I can never sit through it.
Yeah, I haven't played. Well, I played Civilization lately, but I'll always play that.
Yeah,
But I don't play a whole lot of video games anymore, which is sad because I'll still buy games off Steam, like
Yeah.
for the summer sale. I'm like, oh, I'd love to sit down and play that.
Just don't play it. Yeah.
But I'll put like 30 minutes into it. I'll get through the tutorial. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. It's okay because my son can inherit all that stuff. He spends a lot of time playing. He's like the video gamer of the house now.
Yeah, do Steam, as long as they, I wonder what the deal is. You get to does your children get to inherit your Steam stuff?
Well, we have it has a family play thing, so you can click the game to make it family play, and then they can play it on any other machine.
Yeah, because I didn't think about that. I'm like, because think about it. Some people, I know people that, on demand services, they probably have like hundreds and hundreds of movies. You know what I mean? That they paid for. Like, are you like when they're older and pass away? Can they give those on to their kids?
I suppose if you've got the login info and you can contact the company, who knows?
Because I'm sure some people have some epic Steam games collections.
I'm sure. You buy 4 or 5 every sale and play one of them.
Yeah, you got like freaking 1,000 games. Well, I think in a little bit we'll call it end. I'm going to end up getting some food here.
Alrighty.
You were blazing.
This was fun. I actually got I got a lot of work done.
Yeah, this was good. I love the dual format like this because then whatever, if I pause, I don't really care because I watch your screen and see what you're working on and stuff. That's a cool. Let me see that flag. Does that one have like a banner flag on them?
Yeah, it's kind of like the banner carrier.
Oh yeah, okay, I've seen them. I like that one. Wow, they got so nice. The way they do like the shredded cloth now, they get to such a fine point because it's like 3D sculpting software and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit of a blessing and a curse though when you're piecing them together and it's been computer sliced.
Yeah.
And like I have no idea how these two pieces are supposed to go together. Something to be said for those old Space Marines where you just clipped out a torso and the legs and the arms. And
very true, because it all kind of went together the same. Yeah.
Didn't quite matter which one went which.
Here's an arm. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. We're going to call it a Sunday. Thanks for stopping by, Frog. Appreciate it. Yep. We're going to have to do this again.
Absolutely.
And I'll see. Oh yeah, what is your on YouTube? What are you under? You are
Mechanical Frog, I think I'll show up.
Okay, good. So if you search Mechanical Frog on YouTube, check that out. You're also on Instagram now. You're all over the place too now, huh?
Yep, Mechanical Frog there too.
All right, good deal. Cool. And I am going to hit the end button, but you will still be here for a bit after. So I am stopping now. Thanks everyone who joined us, and see you on Wednesday.